sleeping, we stay up all night with the rats and the demons. Our days are rough, so we just harbor our feelings, look into everything but ourselves for healing. But when you're under the microscope, I use my rose tints to enjoy your when you're under the microscope, things aren't all they seem to be.
Hey everyone.
But I know
Hi Mila. Hi Jojo. Hi Daisy. Hey Joe. Hope you're well. I love this song.
They may look to me and frown, by the heart to you I'm bound. Dearest dystopia, oh how I adore you.
Oh, I'm good, thank you. And thank you, my lovelies. Just giving a moment for everyone to come in.
To make me look lesser of city folk and the self-inflicted pressure. Equality ain't cheap and you hide the treasure. How strong your people would be if we stood together. Under the microscope.
How are you guys feeling today as well? Let me know in the comments below.
When you're under the microscope, things aren't always seem to be. But I know I won't see your 7 colors in a bottle at my feet. If your rain didn't fall, so I wouldn't change a thing. Oh, how I adore you, dearest dystopia. Look to me and frown, by the heart to you I'm bound. Dearest dystopia, oh how I adore you. Oh how I adore you, dearest dystopia. They may look to me and frown, by the heart to you I'm bound. Dearest dystopia, oh how I adore you. You know that there's
What's going on here? Song's beautiful, man. Absolutely love that song. That's by Tiana Major. Listen, if you don't know about Tiana Major, she's another British artist. I'm so proud of some of the British talent that's coming out because, yo, it's so slept on. Her album, Rehearsal at 9, that got released in April this year. It is so... Listen, it's on a whole vibe. So if you're like me, where you need music to just kind of just meditate and get into a little vibe, Tiana Major is your girl. So definitely check her out. So yeah, I'm hoping you guys are all well today. I was meant to do this live yesterday. I apologize, but these solar flares are really, really not playing with your girl at all. Listen, who's struggling with migraines and headaches at the moment? This Mars retrograde is intense as well. So I was gonna come on live yesterday. I planned everything, got ready, and then my head was just like, yeah, you better just go and sit yourself down and rest yourself. So yeah, shall I put her at here? I don't know her actual Insta, but this is her name. Hold on. Tiana Major. Or it comes up as Tiana Major 9. But yeah, I wanted to have a conversation with you guys and kind of get deeper into these energies. I mean, we had the new moon in Libra yesterday, which was really interesting, definitely for myself. But especially coming out of the sun in Libra and this new moon in Libra, there's a lot of highlights on relationships, and with us about to go into this Scorpio energy, especially with Mercury in Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Mercury deals with our connections. Hi Nadine. Mercury deals with our connections. In fact, the Lover's card is actually attributed to Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. Okay? Mercury retrograde is struggling with me as I'm literally trying to find words out of thin air. And messing with my communication as well. That connection from mind to mouth and speech and understanding is clearly not happening within my own mind. Hopefully we can get through this. I'm a Gemini, so I get really affected by these Mercury retrogrades in particular, because Mercury, of course, is the ruler of Gemini in itself. So we want to talk about I don't really want to focus on the new moon that happened yesterday. I actually really want to home in on, as I said, this Mercury retrograde energy, and it started on October the 14th in the sign of Scorpio, which is, it doesn't like to be in this position. It's not a very, in fact, let me put this two ways. It doesn't like to be in this position, but I promise you this is a great time to initiate yourself to yourself. Mercury is to go through an initiation. The first initiation you need to come to is through the mind. This is through Mercury, and it's navigating the trickery of the mind. Now, in this time that we're in right now, and we can see Mercury also rules the media, right? And we can see a lot of trickery that's been going on simply because the North Node has been in Gemini, which is again a mercurial sign. My brain is scrambled at the moment. It's ruled by Mercury. So there's a lot of glitching, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of trickery, especially within the media. And you can see it within a lot of connections with friends as well. Look at what's happening within the media, in the entertainment industry. Anyone paying attention to Jaguar White? This is very Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. Very exposing, very, no, it's in your face. You're going to face it, whether you like it or not. But it's a very transformational energy at the same time. I did do a video on my YouTube. You guys can go check that out, talking about psychological storms, and I began to touch on this whole thing of Mercury in Scorpio. It hadn't gone retrograde as yet, but this is the time I've been warning you guys about for so long, because it's not it's a lot. There's a lot of secrets that are being revealed, a lot of secrets, not just, and I don't, there is a very mundane aspect to, you know, secrets. Again, we can see what's happening with Jaguar Wright and her exposing a lot of industry and occultic secrets, hidden secrets. Occult just means the hidden, and that is the realm of Scorpio. Now, there's also secrets, your secret place. You have your secret place within you. And this is what this Mercury retrograde, that's essentially, every Mercury retrograde is just bringing you deeper into yourself. It's bringing you into an awareness of, okay, what hasn't been working, because Mercury deals with functions. If something breaks down in a Mercury retrograde, we usually say, hi Shalia, I'll come back to you in a second, Joe. Mercury retrograde, we sometimes find a lot of cars, a lot of electronics, a lot of communications, a lot of relationships, a lot of things just break down, communication. Things break down in Mercury retrograde. But understand, Mercury, a lot of people kind of get mad at Mercury. Every time Mercury comes retrograde, Mercury retrograde. No, Mercury can't make an effect unless there wasn't something that was together to begin with. So for example, if your car broke down in Mercury retrograde, you've been ignoring that little crackle and bang stuff in your car for about 3 months now, and now you want to blame it on Mercury retrograde. Don't blame Mercury, blame yourself. Mercury was just like, listen, you were gonna hide this and I was about to bring it up. Listen, like I said, Mercury rules Gemini, right? And Gemini just says it as it is. Gemini says the truth that everyone else doesn't want to address. Think of that like Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is going to bring up everything that you don't want to address. Now, for you, for the inner rounds guys, I'm going to be uploading another video going deeper into how you can actually survive Mercury retrograde, because I feel like, yeah, a lot of people in the spiritual industry, a lot of astrologers, I wouldn't even say astrologers, because I feel like a lot of astrologers try to bring this to awareness. It's not about every planet is an influence. These planets don't come and destroy our lives, and you know, it can destroy you if you don't recognize the influence and the lessons these things are trying to teach you. These planets are all teachers. Look at them as teachers. All of their lessons, all of the things that they're trying to teach. This is the whole zodiac is a school of life, a university of life, and all of these planets are trying to teach you a specific lesson within a particular area of your life. Just begin to see it like that. We don't need to be afraid. We don't need to be scared. We don't need to. In fact, when you start to see certain things start to pop up, especially in connection with like Mercury retrograde stuff, your ex popping back up and all that kind of stuff, just okay, you've become like, we often blow it up as like, oh my gosh, my ex, Mercury. It's like, just pay attention. What is this trying to reflect to you? What is this trying to bring to your attention? Let's go much deeper than the surface, because that's essentially what Scorpio is. It's not a surface thing. This is dealing with your underworld, right? Everything that you've tried to hide, everything that you've tried to suppress, everything that you was like, nope, that's not gonna happen, that's not going to come into the light of the day. And that also connects to traumas and wounds that you decided to do that to as well. You know, certain conversations you didn't want to have. This is probably a time where these people are going to pop up and you're going to be forced to face certain things. So this is going to be a very, very interesting time, and I wanted to go through, I've got some notes here just to make sure that I can keep on track with everything I wanted to say. But Mercury retrograde, it deals, as I was talking about all of these hidden truths that are coming up, Mercury retrograde deals with like a jolt. It's like a lightning jolt into alignment. That's what Mercury retrograde does. So these jolts are often jolts to your reality, jolts to your perspective of how you see reality. You're able to, but again, if you're only going to take a subjective perspective and only see yourself as a victim of these energies, or the people that may be brought into your life, or the circumstances that may be brought into your life in this moment, it's going to almost feel like it's like, why? It's unnecessary. Like, look how much stuff I've been going through this year. Just give me a break. I'm tired. Our soul's going to feel very, very tired. Scorpio in Mercury in Scorpio is very taxing on the mind. This is a lot of stress, especially with Mars being retrograde in its home sign, which is co-ruled by Scorpio. So this is amplifying the intensity, and it's like all of these underwater volcanoes inside of ourselves are just erupting. This can be very enlightening if you know how to use it. And this is why I mentioned in the video that I did on my YouTube that this could literally be a breakthrough, or sorry, a breakdown or a breakthrough. It's a polarity, but you get to choose what side of the spectrum you get to exist on. I'll touch on that a bit later, but this is a time when we're really just being encouraged to slow down. We don't need to because Scorpio can also bring up extremism, so we can almost double up on certain things that is still trying to blind ourselves to our own wounds, so to speak. But it's like I said, this is not something that we can actually do in this time. So slow down and deeply process everything that is coming to you. We can't run away, so the only thing we can do is go through it. Go through it and literally try to hold on to your mind, because as I've been mentioning, this is a collective dark night of the soul. Take your mind out of third dimensional reality at the moment, because that is the biggest illusion in our reality. None of that is real. The only thing that is real is your own the only things that you can relate to in your personal reality. I can't connect to a lot, to be honest. If I mean, I know a lot of shops and things have shut down and stuff like that, but COVID has not really had impact on my life. And you can choose to not allow any of the things that's happening, whether it's the government, whether it's all of that kind of stuff, because all of that is a psyop to make you feel that you don't have any power, you don't have any rights, you understand law. When you understand law, you will actually stop allowing yourself to be fearful of the fear that they try to project onto people. Oh, you're going to be having to have mandatory vaccines, this, that. No, like, you actually have the right to say no. And this is the trick of this North Node in Gemini energy in it as well. There's a split paradigm. What people are telling, like, people, the government, the media, they will only tell us one side. Once you go and research and learn for yourself, you'll realize that I have a lot more options, and it's more than any of the stuff that they're trying to present to me out there. So this is literally a way where we can save ourselves, and the only way you can save yourself is by really beginning to honor your mind in this time. Mental health is going to amplify. Mental health is about to pop off in a crazy way. I've already, again, I made in my last video, I was talking about the potential of people wanting to, I'm not going to say the word just so that it doesn't trigger on the algorithms, but literally just wanted to leave and take themselves out of this world because it's too much. And that's sometimes what the intensity of Scorpio can bring. But this is where, and you guys that are studying where to go and where to go with me, and just exploring the shadow. In fact, if you guys haven't looked at my video that I've done breaking down bird box on my YouTube, on True Self Project, please go and check that out, because that's really the key for the next phase that we're going into. I'm glad that I watched Bird Box a bit later on in this year. Again, I've watched it before, but I watched it again last week with the Inner Realms, and there's so much that just can't. I've been deprogramming myself over this year, and there's a lot of things that I just had to separate from. There's things that I was separate from before, but this year, especially at the beginning of the year, conspiracy theories and things started popping back up, and you get dragged into it, and it's like, actually, I remember why I left the conspiracy community. This is not helping. This is just, you're just spiraling me into some confusion, and I can't verify any of this stuff. None of this connects to my personal reality. So yes, and let me just leave that there, because I've got a lot of that I want to be able to say, and I want to make sure I say it all in this live. But I'm going to talk about Mercury for a bit. So, as I said, Mercury is the first initiation into self. Mercury was known as the son of wisdom. Mercury is, and for you guys who actually did the Triune Brain webinar with me last month, was it last month or earlier this month? We spoke about how the mind is literally the representation of God. It is God. We talk about the mind of God. You have the mind of God. It's just understanding how it functions then allows you to come into your own Godhead, so to speak. Yeah, there's a lot of things I really want to demystify with these things, but the north node of Mercury, because each planet also has a north node and a south node, just like we have north nodes and south nodes. The north node of Mercury is in the sign of Taurus, and this is a representation of Buddha. Buddha was his constant message was being aware of the present moment. The past and the future, the past and the future isn't really anything until you actually come into this present moment, because you can't really change the past, but you can influence the future just by bringing yourself into the present space. So through that awareness of your present nowness, your present space, that then brings you into the space of enlightenment, because you're now enlightened within your own personal truths. Where Mercury was also called the watchman of the sun, and he was also called. It was also named this sustainer of dominions and the strongest of all the vigilantes. Now, Mercury, and I'm talking in terms of mythology now, and really, I encourage you guys, if you want to understand not only astrology but understand all archetypes, please study mythology, because the mythology is these expressions, these expressions of reality, but in story form, and it's all interconnected. So really encourage you to go study mythology, but those were some of its names. And as I said, it's the first initiation into alchemy, which is the mastery of thoughts. Now, it's interesting because before I did this live, I was researching something in terms of thoughts and the realm of thoughts, because thought in itself is God. The thoughts, like everything you see around you, has come from a thought. That thought in itself is actually the future, because it wasn't present prior to now, and then it comes into manifestation. So within our mind, there's creation happening all the time. Within your mind, if you actually translate where they talk about the universe and the stars always being created and always being destroyed, that's literally your mind. Your mind is creating and destroying thoughts at the same time. You and not only thoughts, is creating your reality. Your thoughts influence your algorithms, which then manifest your actual reality. So going back to the thing of Bird Box, why that's so important, none of that was real. All of the things that they were experiencing, all the fear that they had, running around blindfolding themselves, there was no need to do that, because all of the influences, the thing that they needed to be afraid of was just their mind. It was only trees and things that were bending around them, which meant that their mind was actually bending their reality. And we actually have the power to do that, which is why we have to be so mindful of our thoughts. So why am I mentioning that in this time? Scorpio is also an alchemist and a creator, and sometimes it can create things from death, right? But it's understanding what perspective of death we're creating from. Death is not a negative thing. Death is just the natural transition into something new. We don't know what that new is, but we're creating it as we're living. That creation and destruction can also play out in terms of volcanoes. A volcano will destroy a land, but in its eruption, it's actually creating land and life at the same time. So death is nothing to be afraid of. Death is actually another initiation. So just like we have the initiation of the mind, your spirit has to go through initiation through transitioning through a completely different dimension. But we can also have death, physical deaths. So a relationship can be a physical death, an ending of something, an ending of the way you choose to do something, an ending of I'm no longer going to be allowing myself to be comfortable in places that I don't feel comfortable. So I'm going to honor myself and align myself with being committed to things that actually fuel me again. Death is like a graduation. Yes, it is a graduation. You've graduated from a particular dimension, and you're now opening yourself up to new experiences. Death is one of the most powerful things that can happen, because it's like, for example, this year I've had a lot of ego deaths and a lot of deaths in regards to my belief systems. It's really been challenged, but there's like a brand new space that I'm able to operate from, because I'm not allowing myself to have any more attachments. And that's what death does. It removes all attachments. When someone is taken out of your life because they've died, you can't connect back to them again unless it's on a different plane. You can now tune in spiritually, and you would have to telepathically learn to have a conversation with them, as opposed to experiencing them in a physical form that you're more used to. So as I said, your first initiation into alchemy is the mastery of thoughts. After Gemini is Cancer, which then brings the mastery of imagination, which so Gemini is the magician, Cancer is the high priestess, and this is where we're able to tap into the fourth dimensional space. This is the realm of the psyche, where we're able to tap into our intuition. Cancer is the first water sign, right, in our evolution. So this is where we're being initiated into our initiated through our emotions. This is emotional intelligence. So we have to understand that there's a flip side to everything. Our reality, everything we're experiencing, everything is a mirror, everything is a parallel, everything is a trick. Which is why Gemini has, sometimes people really don't understand Gemini. Gemini is having to always see both sides. That's what happens to me when I'm seeing debates and stuff, because I'm like, I see everyone's side. You're both right, no one's wrong. You both have a perspective reality that makes sense, but you know, you have is not getting caught into the illusion of separation. Again, as I keep saying, Gemini is the ultimate duality. There are other dual signs as well, but Gemini is the ultimate duality. In fact, that's what brings up the lover's sign. It's duality. It's hermaphrodite. Mercury is the hermaphrodite. Sorry, someone calling me. Mercury is the hermaphrodite. So this is the masculine and the masculine and the feminine, the creative and the more logical side, being able to come and fuse together without being separated. Some people are very stuck in their left brain. Some people are stuck in their right brain. It's not about having any of these extremities anymore. It's learning how to harmonize that. So what is happening with this Scorpio energy? Scorpio is just being a light match right now. It's striking a match, and it's like, you're gonna have to learn how to balance these hemispheres. And this spark, this catalyst, is gonna force you to do that. You're gonna have to be forced to collect your whole mind. Some of the stuff that is gonna come come out over the next few weeks, the next few months, is going to be very fearful. It's going to feel like the whole world is ending. That whole death feel again, it's going to be quite dark. The world is going to be quite dark for the next few weeks, because it doesn't like the dark. The world really likes light. It doesn't like to anything a bit scary, anything a bit dark, anything a bit that's going to disturb your peace. People don't want to know. They want everything to be as peaceful as possible. So this is going to be very challenging. So going back to the whole hermaphrodite thing, that came from mythology. We had Hermes, which conjoined with Venus, which is Aphrodite. So we've got Hermes and Aphrodite. That then creates the word hermaphrodite. So this is something that happens on the psycho-spiritual planes, where the two hemispheres of your brain are able to connect. They're able to have sex. This is alchemy. Sex is alchemy. So you're able to not block yourself from especially right now. Like I've been having this the sun's been transiting my 12th house in Libra. So I've been, even though I'm a very creative person, I've been noticing how I've been unconsciously blocking myself from creating at the same time. So this is clearly, I'm in a one state of my mind, and something is blocking it. There's these anchors, right? There's these, and if going back to the triune webinar, the triune brain webinar, there's these wars in my brain that hasn't been settled yet within all of our brains. So this is what we're going to have to be dealing with, and we're going to see it play out, especially with male and female as well. A lot more male and female battles. It's weird. I've been seeing a lot of stuff recently, and it's kind of disturbing. But this is what we're going to have to go through, because at some point we're going to have to balance. We're going to have to realize that matriarchy is not going to work. Patriarchy is not going to work. We're going to have to harmonize. We're going to have a balance of something. So going back into the whole alchemy thing, Mercury in itself, it activates especially in a Mercury retrograde, your Kundalini, so to speak, will be activated. And what is Kundalini? Kundalini, well, Mercury actually rules the active liquid, so to speak. That's what it'd be referred to, of Kundalini fire. So it's like liquid and fire. This is something that is able to awaken you. Now, sorry, I've got like 3 thoughts moving in my mind at the same time, because you guys that have read Where to Go, it speaks about how the biggest thing that it doesn't like is fire. That's the biggest that's what almost kills it. And it said it in Venom as well. It really doesn't like fire. And it's interesting because Mars rules Kundalini. It rules the serpent, which is a fire sign. But the key with that is, and this goes back to the reptilian brain. The reptilian brain isn't, even though it's influencing your whole reality, and it's playing all of these puppet strings on your reality. Your reptilian brain is literally the ET that you need to be afraid of or not be afraid of at the same time, whatever way you want to be able to look at it. But it's illumination. It can either be a push, like something can be pushing you, like go on, take it, go on, like do this, like impulse on galore, like on steroids, so to speak. Or it could be an illumination or enlightenment to the fact that, hold on, this impulse isn't coming from me. Why am I a slave to this energy that ain't got nothing to do with me? How are you controlling my life more than I am right now? And that's what essentially what Kundalini really is supposed to be. So I really don't encourage you to go start uncoiling your serpent and stuff when you don't even understand essentially what what Kundalini is, how it operates, because this serpent is the activation of your Wetiko, right? This is the activation of the deepest and the darkest, densest parts of yourself. And you can literally activate a whole psychosis that could blind your perspective to what's actually taking place. So you could potentially not damage, but what's the word? Not forfeit. Almost put a block to your process because you wasn't ready to awaken that aspect to yourself. There's a lot more work that needs to be done before you go and start awakening yourself and start initiating yourself into areas that you don't even understand. Understanding that this whole world is an illusion. How you're perceiving your reality. Your eyes perceives things upside down. Your retina has to flip things right side back up so that you can perceive your reality. So really, what you see right now is a dumber version of what is actually real. And once we begin to get that into our minds and you practically integrate that into your reality, when you're having an argument with someone and you're coming up against things that are really irritating you and really just triggering you, then you realize, actually, I don't really need to attach to this. With Scorpios, the solstice point of Scorpio is Aquarius. There's that natural sextile there. There's an opportunity for these two signs to operate. So there's a certain level of detachment that Scorpio needs to be able to go through a transformation. So you can't be too attached. The opposite of Scorpio is Taurus, which is the attachments. It is, I need everything. Like a Scorpio is willing to lose everything. Well, not just a Scorpio, but Scorpio energy, because not everyone. See, this is the thing. Like Scorpio suns are not Scorpio risings. It's not the same. And especially Scorpio moons as well. Like it's not the same. There's a certain level of power that is there that makes them, especially I'm a Scorpio moon and rising. Sometimes I make things look easy, and especially as I've got a Capricorn stellium as well. Sometimes when I'm going through some of my darkness and some of the crazy situations that I go through, I come back out and it's like, oh, it's almost like nothing happened. No, it's still there. It's just I'm having to learn how to detach to a certain level that I don't get myself wrapped back up in the same cycle that got me locked down in the first place. For me to be able to take that ladder up from the lowest the lowest space of the emotional frequency spiral, which is depression, I have to now detach myself and be like, okay, it's not the depression I'm angry with, or that's influencing or creating this whole thing, because the depression is nothing. Like I can't identify that. That's just a feeling I'm actually I feel depressed. You can't put depression on it's not an object you can identify. It's not a place you can go to. It's only something internal. So the only thing that you can do is identify what is pushing me here. What is pushing me here? And actually being real with that. Being real with that. Whether it's where I'm at in my life is I feel like I should be further, or whether it's because like I said, some of my stuff has been, I've been realizing how much I've been blocking myself. I've been frustrated at certain stuff, but I've been like, yo, I've been the problem. I'm the reason why this hasn't popped off. This could have popped off a long time ago, but I'm a bit slow sometimes to hold myself back. Yeah, depression isn't tangible. So yeah, there's a lot of these things that you have to just be honest with yourself about. So let me go forward. The Bible also talks about the baptism of fire, right? This is also talking about talking about Kundalini and awakenings, right? This is what's interesting, because when you study the Bible, you actually find that not everyone had, or not all the people that had giftings actually had a baptism of fire. They had a baptism of water. They were baptized by water, but not all of them had that spiritual Pentecostal. That's what the Pentecost, the day of Pentecost, and baptism of fire came. This was because not everyone was an apostle. You notice that it was apostles that had that type of experience. Now, what is an apostle? Apostle, and I will be in the Inner Realms Academy, I will be going into something called the fivefold ministry, which is really the whole pentagram thing. That's where that whole thing really came from, Star of David. But this is a standard of how an order is supposed to be. So you have the apostle, someone who establishes order at the top. Now the apostle has the giftings of all the rest of the fivefold ministry: the prophets, the prophet, the pastor, the evangelist, the one who's able to spread the word, the pastor, the one who's able to shepherd the sheep, so to speak, and then you have the teacher, right? So we all have different offices. It's called offices. We all have a different office that we fit into. Now the problem is that everyone's trying to reach the office of the apostle. Everyone's trying to get up to the top. Everyone wants to be like, yeah, I can do everything, I can do this, I can do that. Like, no, that was something for someone to be an apostle. There's no one to be an apostle. Is not someone, you're not ordained by just an ordinary way that everyone else is ordained. You're ordained through spirit. This is a spiritual experience that takes place, because now there's a recognition that you've been initiated. Yeah, the churches are cultic too. They just don't teach it. Yeah, baptism of fire. I knew it was meant to be the rising of the Kundalini. Yes, it is. So apostles are those that come into their Godhead. That's what that actually is. The Godhead is the mastery of the mind. You now are aware of. You're no longer tricked, and you're now able to master all of your influences and create with it, right? And the apostle is now the person who's able to guide everything going forward, because they have the vision, right? They had the vision, they had the revelation of a realm and dimensions that is beyond a lot of beyond the awareness of a lot of other people. So what does fire do? Yeah, church is so occult. It's frustrating people don't see that. It's so occultic. I wish people would see that, because it's wild if you don't actually recognize some of the stuff that they do. I mean, not all is bad, but there are some that can really just, anyway, that's another story for another day. So what is the purpose of fire? Now understand, and I'm still talking about Scorpio, because Scorpio is a dual ruled sign. So it's co-ruled by Mars, right? So not only does Mars rules Aries, it rules Scorpio, but then Pluto also rules Scorpio as well. So Pluto is just a sign not to be fucking with. It's a very, very powerful sign, because it's water and raised in a Roman Catholic Church. Listen, I've been coming into some information about the Marine Kingdom and the Catholic Church. It's been quite interesting, and some of the stuff that they do in the chapels and hospitals and prisons and stuff. Yo, that stuff is next levels. So yeah, Scorpio is co-ruled by not only a fire sign, a water sign. And in the Realms Academy, you guys, in the Star Tribe, you guys, we were speaking about elements and what does fire and water do. It creates steam, it creates purification. So the purification can only come because water and fire by itself are quite destructive elements. You've got tsunamis, and you also got fires, wildfires, you got volcanoes. All these things can be quite destructive. But together with it being harmonized, you can create steam. You create steam, you create something that purifies something that clears something. So clearing vision. So really, this point in the year is the greatest opportunity for clarity. We say 2020 vision, 2020 clarity. Like when I clean my glasses, I have to apply steam on it. That's the heat that's heat, and even my breath in itself. Like, listen, when you begin to understand how alchemy works, like my breath has not only got when you breathe out, now, because this links to the breath of God, the Ruach, when you go back to Genesis 1 and the breath of God breathed on the waters and then God spoke. You got water, air, and heat that comes out like that, but you yourself are earth. So that's literally all of the elements in one, like just coming together. Like that's God. That is God manifesting itself, but we'll talk about that in itself. I wrote about that in my elements workshop. Yeah. Yeah, man, elements is deep, and I'm about to go deeper in the whole element stuff, because like when you apply the elements to real life things like mountains, lakes, and oceans and volcanoes, and you actually understand the compositions of how they play out in real time, it makes you understand them so much more. Please share with me privately if you can, or not do a video for us. What a video on what? Sorry, I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, I will be going into the elements. I'll probably do a general video on my YouTube. But these are all stuff that I'll be going into in the Inner Realms Academy with webinars. These are full ass webinars, not just discussions and stuff that I come on here and do. But whole ass presentation. So we're taking it up a notch. Oh, the things I heard about the Catholic Church. Oh, I can't do a physical video on that. That's exactly why I set up a private platform, because the censorship on these platforms are absolutely crazy. But I can send you some stuff that's already been done. And you can have a bit of more awareness of that, but send me a message so that I can be reminded of that as well, because my brain can be like a fish sometimes. So yeah, this whole retrograde is going to be incredibly powerful, incredibly transformational, and I can tell you from now, like, it's been crazy, because when Mercury went into shadow, I was struggling. Like, I don't know what happened. It was like, I literally said to my partner, I was like, I'm not bipolar, but I feel bipolar. In fact, I've been feeling bipolar since the North Node in Gemini. North Node went into Gemini. It's just like everything's glitchy. Like you can't hold, like nothing is tangible anymore. It's really just, yeah, it's a lot. Nene, I think you're in the group anyway. So when I think I've shared it. I've shared some stuff of it already. No, it was in the Inner Realms Academy. Remind me in the group to send that stuff. But yeah, this is magical transformation, and it starts from your mind. This is your own Adesoni. That was a real rabbit hole. Oh, the Catholic Church. Listen, when you see the stuff like that anyway, like, all I will tell you from now is, if you have any family members that are sick, and they end up calling the Catholic Church to pray for them, don't do it. In fact, be careful of any church you get calling you get praying for someone who's passing away. Some of that shit is sacrifices and occultic rituals in itself. Like, these people are deep. They don't play. It's all connections with the Marine Kingdom. If you know anything about the Marine Kingdom, you'll know that these people are suspects. It's all incubus and succubus and madness and guan. Anyway, before my Jamaican grandma self comes out. So yeah, essentially what I'm trying to say is, oh, thank you, Shalia, thank you so much. Essentially what I'm trying to say is, be careful how you perceive information, because everything is not what it seems. Even when situations present itself in real time, any oppositions you come up against, any arguments you come into, use it all as a mirror, because it's all going to be reflecting your shadow. I had a situation the other day that really pulled the ball out of me, and I don't often get triggered because I have layers to where I can manage myself to not get so like pulled off like into a crazy different area. But the only thing that can trigger me like that is when it comes to my child, like really when it comes to my child. And something really really challenged me, and I know I was being stubborn in the thing, but I was being deliberately stubborn to prove a point. Here's my Capricorn stellium as well. see, I'm an Earth dominant, right? So you want me to do something, if you ever want me to do something that I don't want to do, you might as well just give up from now, because I will deliberately just sit down in a place. Go on, try. It could be something so simple, but because I'm trying to prove a principle, listen, I will not be moved. You will not move me. You will not control me. I will do what I... Now, that's an aspect of my shadow, but, and this is where I keep talking about understanding the duality of your shadow. Because yes, a part of that I needed to do, I needed to be able to set that boundary, because that whole thing was with someone who's actually quite narcissistic and can actually like really twist. I don't know how they are able to do some of the things that they're able to do, but it's got to the point where to protect myself, I have to put that boundary in place, and it has to be harsh. If I need to be stubborn, I need to do that. But at the same time, I can acknowledge, yo, that stubbornness was so unnecessary. not even unnecessary. It was necessary, but you're just extra with it. Like, you can be honest about that. And this is learning how to honor your shadow, or honor the dark side of your shadow, and honor that your shadow does have a purpose in certain situations, but it's learning how to decipher what situations that needs to be in. What situations is that justifiable, and what situations are you just making noise for no reason? Right? So I was really, even though that was a very difficult experience for me to go through, I was grateful for that presenting itself in my reality, because it got me to see another side of myself, because I'm not always triggered. Because I have a very good maintenance of myself to do that, universe is just like, boom, Mercury Retrograde, opposition, deal with that shit. You're going to learn today, who are you really in the mirror? So this is what this whole time is going to be about. Let me just check some of your messages. I have a church freak stalker now. Listen, those church people are serious stalkers, I swear they could have detective inspector roles. Like, I've been through some experiences myself. It's crazy. Shalia says, I've noticed that my life usually flips almost upside down right before retrogrades, but when I get into retrogrades, it's smooth sailing. Yeah, it's those shadow periods. Like, before the retrograde starts, people don't realize that you have, like, depending on the planet, but especially on Mercury Retrograde, you got that week and a half, that shadow period, that things begin to amp up. And especially like Mercury Retrograde hasn't sat in yet, like, so don't get too lost in it. Yeah, I'm good. Listen, we could all get smacked out here. We could all get told what day it is today. Like, it's that real. So just keep your eyes open. Seriously, because I'm seeing people that that I respect and I honor, still getting lost into this because they're actually in their ego. No matter who comes up and presents themselves to you, it is a mirror, right? You have the right to get frustrated. You're human, right? You have the right to vent your frustration, but always recognize that there is a mirror. There is another side that's reflecting an area that you're not seeing yourself, because we're taught and we're programmed to just disassociate from our own internal experience and what we may be projecting out, and only identify with the projections outside of us. We need to become parallel with both inside and out. What am I bringing? What am I putting out that's attracting the situation? And what is it that is being feedbacked? What is coming in my feedback loop? Like we literally have all of these feedback loops that just keep coming back because we won't address the root, the source of what is creating that projection. Everything is us. I've showed you guys that Plato's cave image. You know, we really need to understand the realm of projections. And if you guys, I keep mentioning the book Dispelling Wetigo. If you guys are not hip to that, I know I keep mentioning it because, you know, we've got the guys in the Inner Realms Academy reading that book and studying it and unveiling it, and a lot of the content that I'm creating is linking to that whole concept of psycho-spiritual conditions that are rooted within our reptilian brain programming. It's interesting because if you actually look into computers and programs, and there's a particular program called Python, right? Pythonic programming, and I've mentioned this in the Inner Realms Academy. That was one of the first videos I did about Pythonic programming, coding. The brain, the computer is built off of the brain, right? Off of your brain, how you function, off of your body, everything. But now I just lost my whole train of thought. Yeah, Pythonic programming. So the same way that the reptilian brain programs you and influences you, because it is a program, but sometimes we get stuck and hit on that reptilian lower base programming that we're not able to spiral up into our evolved consciousness of our mind, being able to not get lost in a subjective reality on one side, not seeing the whole picture coming together. So we're gonna have to learn to be more aware of these things. Oh, thank you, your favorite auntie. I think that's Crystal there. Ocean, I had to sit down with that, and allowing my shadow to honor my truth is important. Listen, seriously. Hi, Siri. Pythonic programming is so real. Like, it's because I'm not even going to go into that right now because I don't want to hit this. My Gemini going all over the place, wanting to talk about everything and can't even hold on a line. But what else did I want to be able to say? Let me stay on topic. So this time is about being why the mind is feminine. She is the kind, the grandma, grandmaster, grandmother. Yes. See, the thing is, the mind is actually is more hermaphrodite, whatever the word is more of a it's more balanced. It's not just feminine. See, this was the whole thing with Lilith itself, first wife of Adam. She was a hermaphrodite. She wasn't just a woman, but it was hermaphrodites that honored the divine feminine. This is gonna cut off, so I'm gonna shut off and come back on another live, as I literally got 18 seconds left. So join me on the other side and we'll continue this conversation, if I can actually shut it.